Hi, this is Jerry, Aaron, ARIN12 on Star Trek Online. I'm doing a tutorial on how the Duty Officer system works. The Duty Officer system is the button currently glowing green on my minimap right here, right underneath. I can click on it and I can take a look at 4 different tabs that give me information. The overview, of course, tells me right on the top how many open slots do I have left to assign some of my crew to go on missions. What missions do I have how many missions do I have in progress? How many have I completed? When am I scheduled to complete the next one? Same thing for research and development, which doesn't come until level 25. It doesn't come for a little bit later, but that's where that is. And of course, the summary of how many duty officers I have total on my ship, how many of them are on assignment, whether or not any of them are injured in sickbay, and whether any of them are actively serving on my ship. Now, the active ones do not count against the roster. So it says I have 138. I actually have 146 because these 8 are also in there. Over here is just a list of the different types of missions that the crew can go on, my experience in each one, and how much it's going to take for me to get to the next level. If you click on each one, it also will tell you the rewards that you gain for going to each level. For example, it mentions that just about every single one of them comes with a title, and underneath it tells you you're allowed to get duty officers as rewards, or in the case of diplomatic missions, which makes them my favorite, the ability to transwarp to different systems, get around the galaxy a little bit easier. Over here is my roster. There's 7 divisions, of course: tactical, security, engineering, operations. You can read, you don't need help with that. Over here, most of this information is fluff. Their rank is directly tied to their quality, so all uncommon quality people in the tactical division are going to be ensigns. Kind of stinks from a roleplay perspective, because as a mechanics gamer, maybe I want my people all to be very rare, because of course I want the bonuses that you get for completing missions. But as a role player, I really would love to have more flexibility about promoting them myself, deciding what their ranks should be. A lot of things in Star Trek Online I wish they wouldn't have tied so closely to a ranking system, but it is what it is. Over here, this ability is what I would get if I put her on active duty. Well, she is on active duty, so this is what I'm getting. Whenever I use evasive maneuvers, it recharges faster. If your duty officer is not on active duty, you don't get this. So don't think that it's cool to collect a whole bunch of them, because they won't do you any good. And down here, of course, are your traits. Traits are mostly about fluff, but you'll find that different assignments require different traits. None is necessarily quote-unquote good or bad. It really depends on the assignment you're sending them on. This is where they'd be if anybody was sick. This is where any prisoners I might have taken would be. Take no prisoners! Alright. And this is where all the stuff gathered in my cargo bay lives. Over here, this is the nuts and bolts assignments. Now, I'm on a planet right now. There are no duty officer assignments just randomly hanging out on this planet. That's why this map is empty. I'm just going to take a moment to beam to my ship so that we can go look at what would be in a typical area of space. Now, this is where the meat of the duty officer system is, because if you're in a different area of space, you have access to different missions than you normally would. What that can mean for your life is that if you travel around the galaxy and look for the rare missions, the chain missions, you're going to be probably a step ahead of 90% of the community, which literally just either always gathers their missions on Earth, doesn't realize that there's any variance, or simply doesn't care, I guess. But if you go to the rare nooks and crannies of this game, find the rare missions, that's where all the neat rewards tend to live. Alright, so here I am. I'm in the Sirius sector block, which is where Earth lives. If I go in here now, here are all the assignments that are really, really close to Federation space. Now, this symbol right here, this red symbol, simply says I don't have any slots. So let me just go collect rewards from something I previously did. Boop. Okay, so now I have 1 slot open. Everything's gold. I could actually do this. Sometimes when I first started using the DOF system, I would actually have to click on plan to see if I could do it or not, because I didn't understand the game was actually telling me already. This mission here, I could do it, but I don't have the supplies. Well, it turns out all the supplies it's looking for, I could replicate right here on the spot. It's not the cheapest way to do it. There are commodity traders that actually will give me stuff for cheaper prices than this, which, especially when you're starting out, might be of concern. Like now I have 6.2 million credits. I really don't care if I spend an extra 150 on medical supplies, but you know, early in the game I certainly did. So it's worth talking about commodity traders another time, but that's not why we're here. Each one of these things we have you experience and expertise, training in the appropriate area. Like this one gives military XP, some dilithium, some credits, and this is what it requires. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab one of these. Let's go study ruins in the Orion sector. It'll be fun. So my quality level here gives me a bonus. See, I'm getting 20% from the rare and 5% from the uncommons, which means I am highly unlikely to fail, even though the casualty risk is crazy on this. And that disaster percentage is probably coming from my very rare, because he's unscrupulous, and apparently unscrupulous doesn't work very well when you're studying ruins in the Orion sector. So I'm going to switch him up for a commoner here. Boop. Notice that my success rate went down a little bit, not horribly. My disaster rate went down. Disasters are rare, but I think, they can put your people in sickbay for a very long time. Theoretically, I think they could even take one out completely, although I've never had it happen. These two are busy on another assignment, that's why they've got their little runabout symbols. Yeah, I'd rather use my commoner. So I'll send them off. Whoop, off they go. That's as simple as it gets. So why bother doing a tutorial on it? Because of all the secret little nooks and crannies that nobody seems to know about and nobody tells you about. For example, let's go cruising over here to Delta Volanus. Give my ship a moment to turn. The USS Gabriel Bell. Bonus points if you remember the Deep Space Nine episode that gave us that character who my ship is named after. All of the horrible stuff in the mid-21st century. I'll just hop over there. Like I said, different area of the world, different missions. So if I were in Beta Ursae, I'm going to find more Deep Space Nine, Cardassian-related missions. Because I'm chilling out here in the Federation, I'm getting more Federation-like missions. But what's important for me to note for you, when I go to the Volanus cluster, see there are specific duty officer assignments that I can only get here. These would not pop up anywhere else. And it seems like every sector block has one of these. And you can tell them by that symbol, that brackety symbol instead of the star. I mean, not that the Azura has duty missions, at least not as far as I know. I'll have to go check that out. But those brackets, my theory is that they simply mean something special, something other than a star is going on over there. Also, personal missions are just the sorts of things you used to see on the show, people just messing with their own ship. That's mostly what it is, just your crew enjoying its downtime, doing its own personal stuff. Those will show up anywhere. You can also ask your department heads to give you mission assignments. These do vary from place to place where you are, and these do not show up on the main area. So for example, these colonial applications would not have shown up here, and would not have shown up if I was on any other map. This is specific to this officer giving me this mission in this area. And the quality of your bridge officer will affect how good these missions are and how well they go. The quality of your duty officers, of course, will affect your actual performance. So there's like 8,000 different places to get duty assignments. And I know sometimes, like, especially in the beginning, it feels like, oh, there aren't even 20 assignments. Why do they give me 20 slots? Well, actually, it turns out 20 slots barely seems like enough. Sometimes I wish way more than selling extra duty officer slots. It would be nice if Cryptic started selling some slots to allow you to do extra assignments. That would be really neat. Anyway, one last thing I want to show you before we end this tutorial. We're going to go ahead to Earth really quick. And because the other thing that seems to be a pretty well hidden secret in the duty officer system is, how do I get more of these guys? In fact, funny bad story, early in the construction of my fleet, most of your fleet holdings require duty officers of one point or another, right? So let me just, for example, this required 25 medical and science duty officers. I actually had a couple of members of my fleet who were going to the exchange and buying duty officers just to contribute them. And that can get pricey and certainly isn't necessary. You're entitled to quite a few common level duty officers for free on kind of a bi-daily or tri-daily basis. And the way that happens is mostly, and there are other places to do it, but the easiest way when you're starting is Starfleet Academy, which makes sense. Where else would new officers come from, right? They go through the academy and then they get assigned to you. Please ignore my stuff. Alright, there we go. So you can theoretically get 10 common duty officers every 3 days. And the way to do that is there are 3 exchange officers. Is this guy here one of them? Yeah. It's a Vulcan, a Tellarite, and Dorian. You just ask them for cultural exchange. I don't have room for it right now, but if I were to do this, then 20 hours later, pop, I get a new Vulcan common duty officer. He could be in any department or division. It's kind of random as far as what you get when you go for the racial ones. Conversely, you might end up getting just about any race or any common race from the main personnel office, but you're not really sure. But you do have some control over what department they come from, and occasionally you're lucky enough to get uncommon level ones too. So I'm going to click over here. It's Lieutenant Fair is on the other side. Somehow, even standing this far away, I can yell out to him, "Hey, cat!" It's because of his good cat-like ears. But the personnel officer is the chick right in front of me here. And if I submit a request for personnel, these are all great because I'm already currently on them. So each one of them gives 2 common level duty officers. You can choose this assignment every 3 days because it takes 2 days for it to do. It's a 48-hour duty assignment. The clock runs, and then there's a 24-hour cooldown before you can choose it again. So, and each one of them will give you, like I said, 2 duty officers, usually common, every now and then uncommon. General recruitment actually costs dilithium. So this one will give you 4 and almost always have an uncommon in it, but it has a cost, whereas the other ones are free. I am a cheapskate, so I don't really bother with, oh look, I have 4 of my, I actually knew I had 4 things done already. I should have just gone and gotten myself that Vulcan. I'm just going to knock these off. There we go. R&D assistance, this is the area of the duty officer system we haven't really talked about yet. This rarely gives you personnel. This will instead give you stuff, things that you theoretically put together in your R&D lab in order to build different items and equipment for the game. That is beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. We are going to talk about that at some point in the future. For now, my advice to everybody is just, when you're starting out, just scroll straight to the bottom, go for the one that is going to raise your experience level, but don't actually build anything yet. It's going to be a long while before you actually build anything in the system. You pretty much have to have it all the way up for it to be worth anything. That is it. If you have any questions or concerns, you're more than welcome to hit me up in a game. It's at Aaron12, ARIN12. Or just leave comments down at the section below if you don't mind a not time critical response, because I'm not going to check it very regularly. But thank you very much, and keep on flying out there.